Welcome back, citizens. This is episode number 18 of The Whole Truth for the week of 3 February 2014. My name is Wes, and I'll be your host as we travel the galaxy in search of the real news about Star Citizen. Engines on, let's go. Let's recap the news from the website. This week we got a first look at the asteroid hangar in the form of some artwork. Some folks call this the pirate hangar, and it's the fourth hangar environment that we've seen created. This was originally attached to purchasing the Drake Cutlass. It's been designed in such a way that it will be able to expand to fit ships like the Drake Caterpillar as well. I hope we get to see it in the engine very soon. There's a press roundup on the site for you to peruse, and most notably an article from Time that details the crazy town that is Star Citizen, the most crowdfunded project in history. It's an interesting read, but it's just a recap of some of Star Citizen's most notable milestones from a guy that doesn't seem to actually know a whole lot about the game. Most of the other press releases this week are just exclaiming over the $37 million milestone reached in the previous week, and there's some talk about the organization's module. We get a look at a new lore news update called Kaizen, which is a show detailing the latest economic developments inside the game world. This episode of the show discusses how lynch fever affects the economy and talks about the Spectrum ID. Spectrum ID is the unique code for our organizations that we create on the website. For example, ours is WATR, which stands for We Are the Romantics. Within the game world, the host of the show, Aaron Shearer, recognizes the history of the Spectrum ID. Having been created 122 years ago, Spectrum ID is a way for identifying corporations, organizations, and even individuals across the various networks and comm relays positioned around the empire. If you would like to know more, I always leave the links to everything we discuss in the info section below the video. A new galactic guide gives us a look at Aegis Dynamics, creators of the Avenger, Retaliator, Surveyor, and the Idris Corvette. Aegis Dynamics' goal used to be to build naval spacecraft, and the company was tailor-made for military contract bidding. The company's Retaliator bomber was at one point synonymous with the government's Iron Hand. With the fall of Messer's regime, Aegis' military presence dwindled, but the reliability of their ships endeared them to the civilian population. Aging ships from their lineup began to be converted into civilian craft. Retaliator bombers signified versatility as personal transports, mobile homes, mining craft, and even firefighters, instead of the intimidating military ship that it once was. This post goes on to give you some detail about the four ships and adds a lot of character to the lineup. I had a great time reading this one. I can't wait to turn my Retaliator into a giant mobile home. Who wants to be my Mog? We also get an excellent lore write-up called Dateline Sesson. This is a story about Ula Yadav, a behind-the-lines kind of journalist who's digging up the dirt on a juicy tale of private companies posing as pirates to cash in. This is a long one and not great for a recap. If you love fiction and the world of Star Citizen, I suggest giving this one a read. It was very entertaining and quite well written. I enjoyed it. On the topic of behind-the-lines journalists, as we near the launch of the Persistent Universe, I will be recruiting some information runners and journalists for our own organization, Romanticore, to help me with Whole Truth. This news show is going to continue and will encompass the weekly events within the game as well as outside of the game. If you're interested, please let me know. That just about wraps it up for the website news. There was no Wingman's Hangar this week due to a scheduling change. Wingman's Hangar is now going to release on Wednesdays instead of Fridays, and Fridays will now feature the new show, The Next Great Starship. If you haven't seen this yet, it's a competition where 24 teams compete by creating their own ship designs and eventually winning the privilege of putting a ship into the game. I'm going to start doing a quick recap of the show, its contestants, and who makes it every week for you guys. But this week, since there was no Wingman's Hangar, I'm going to do it within the Whole Truth episode. With over 200 entries to the competition and then narrowing it down to 24 for the show, The Next Great Starship should be a fun ride. We voted very recently on what ship the winner would end up focusing on, and that was for that show. The winning ship was, of course, the Mercenary Gunship. The judges for the competition consist of Chris Roberts and 4 of his developers: Mark Skelton, Art Director; Chris Olivia, Chief Visual Officer; Chris Smith, Lead Ship Modeler; and Sean Patrick Tracy, the self-proclaimed Crytek Evangelist. The contestants were tasked with designing, modeling, and importing a weapon into the CryEngine, the Windfire, for the Sakura Sun Corporation that takes Xi'an technology and combines it with human technology. On this first episode, 8 teams are reviewed and only 5 can make it through. The 3 that do not make it through will go into a wildcard pool, and the community will have the ability to vote 1 wildcard back into the competition later on. The first team up is Eris, and here's their design. Next team up is Raging Vertex. Next is True, the Russian Universal Engineers. Next up is Team Cryo. Next up, Team Zeus. Next is the one-man team, Talon Corp. Next up is Skyguard Fabrications, and this seems to be the favorite for most folks, and I have to say, I completely agree. This one kind of blew everyone else away in my opinion. Last but not least, we have Damage Association. After the judges casted their votes on cell phones, the 5 teams going through are Eris, Skyguard, Cryo, Talon, and True. Team Zeus, Damage, and Raging Vertex dropped to the wildcard category. Congratulations to those that made it on to the next round. If you want to hear what the devs had to say about each entry, be sure and check out the full show. Let's do some other news. So apparently the most expensive battle in the history of EVE happened this last week. If you missed out on this news, the battle was over a missed bill payment where Pandemic Legion stages all of their fleets. When the payment was missed, the sovereignty in the system dropped and also its protections by the NPC police force in the game. Because of this, the opposing group, known as the CFC Alliance, decided to try and take the system. More Titans were lost in this fight than any fight in the history of EVE Online, and that's only if you count the losses on the winning team's side. Pandemic Legion was forced to retreat and lost even more ships in the process. Because of this event, the Titanomachy was created in the game and is a graveyard of Titan wrecks for people to see and reflect upon the horrors of war. A few statistics from the fight: over 20 hours of fighting, over 7,500 unique players participated with more than 2,600 in the system at one time. N3 and PL lost 59 Titans and CFC lost 16 for a total of 75 destroyed. The estimated in-game losses are 11 trillion ISK, and that equates to $300,000 in real-life money. Shocking. Also in other news this week, I wanted to talk to you all a bit about a game you've probably already heard of, Elite Dangerous. Being the sci-fi space junkie that I am, I can't ignore this game even though Star Citizen has all of my love. If you haven't heard of it yet, the game is already in a playable alpha with dogfighting combat missions available. The problem is, getting into that alpha will cost you about $340. I've had my hand on the button numerous times to buy it, and I just couldn't pull the trigger for that price. From what I understand, the game will be a one-to-one, scientifically accurate, fully seamless Milky Way galaxy using a mix of procedural generation with artistic direction. With around 100 billion star systems to explore, you're never going to run out of content. You can freely fly around systems in a realistic scale, or you can use the in-system hyperjump. Elite is a multiplayer game, but you will be able to play it single player as well if you wish. The game is scheduled for release in March of this year, but I see that being pushed back. I think this game's combat being released and very polished looking already had something to do with Star Citizen's dogfighting module being delayed until it's way more polished itself. It would have been a really bad idea to release what we saw in the live stream of the dogfighting module alongside Elite's very nice looking gameplay videos. I will definitely be playing Elite Dangerous in the lead up to Star Citizen and live streaming it. I think it's going to be a nice little test run to get acclimated to spaceflight again in a newer game with our current setups. It doesn't possess nearly as many features as Star Citizen is going to have, but it is shaping up to be a very nice game. Let's find out who won the r/Star Citizen Post of the Week. This week it belongs to Anjaz. I don't know how to say your name, I apologize. It's ANJZ for his thread, TNGS Discussion. In this thread, people are discussing the weapons we saw on the show, the format of the show, and what they think about the overall competition. Get over there and join in the competition discussion, and thanks to Anjaz for starting up this conversation for the community to participate in. That brings us to the end of another show. A quick update on our organization, Romanticore. We're up to about 185 members, and last time I checked, about 18th largest. We have a massive division layout on our website right now with job listings posted and a thread for you guys to help us flesh out that division layout over the next year as we lead up to the game's release. Our forums are growing quickly and we want you to come and join us. Thanks again everyone for all the amazing support here on YouTube, on the Star Citizen subreddit, and also on our website and the Twitch stream. I've been meeting a lot of new folks from the community and it is a great community. I would not be doing this if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you so much. I'm super excited to play with you guys in the future. Until next time, fly low and shoot straight, and I'll see you all again next Monday on The Whole Truth. Goodbye.